Tyler Coleman, 41, looked like the kind of man people ignored in grocery store lines. He drove an old Chevy Silverado through snowy Denver mornings and spent weekends fixing things in his garage with cracked work gloves. Nicole Harper's friends believed she had married beneath her. What nobody knew was Tyler had finalized a 9-figure security acquisition less than 6 hours earlier. At 2:13 a.m., Nicole threw his duffel bag into the snow and slammed the front door hard enough to shake the porch light. Then headlights cut through the storm. A black SUV rolled slowly toward the house. Before we continue, comment your country and local time below. And if you enjoy stories about quiet power betrayal and calculated revenge, subscribe to the channel. Tomorrow's story gets even colder. The cold hit Tyler Coleman harder after the door locked. Not emotionally, physically. Denver snow in late January carried a dry kind of cold that slipped through denim and crawled into bone. Tyler stood on the porch in gray sweatpants, an old thermal shirt, and socks already turning dark from melted snow. Nicole's front porch lantern flickered above him, while wind dragged powder across the driveway in thin white streaks. At the edge of the neighborhood, traffic hummed faintly along Spear Boulevard. Inside the house, music started playing again. Tyler bent once and picked up the duffel bag Nicole had thrown at him. The zipper was half open. A sleeve from one of his flannel shirts hung outside, damp from snow. No wallet, no watch, no personal phone. Nicole had made sure of that. The front curtains shifted slightly. Someone was watching him. Tyler already knew who. 3 seconds later, the front door opened again. Warm yellow light spilled across the porch tiles. Nicole Harper stood there in silk pajamas beneath a long, cream-colored robe. Her makeup was still perfect, despite the hour. She had probably touched it up before throwing him out. Her blonde hair fell neatly over one shoulder, while one manicured hand held a wine glass. Behind her, Tyler saw Derek Whitmore, leaning casually against the kitchen island. Derek raised his glass slightly, a silent toast. 44 years old, senior partner at Whitmore and Kane Family Law. Expensive haircut, tailored black sweater, the kind of man who smiled like he had already billed someone for the conversation. Nicole folded her arms. "You can stop standing there like a victim," she said. "The neighbors are probably awake already." Tyler said nothing. Nicole laughed once through her nose. "That's your problem, you never say anything." Snow collected slowly on Tyler's shoulders. Derek walked closer into view behind her. "Nicole," he said lightly, "he's trying to guilt you." Tyler finally looked directly at him. Derek held the eye contact for 2 seconds before sipping whiskey. Tyler noticed the bottle on the counter immediately. Macallan 18. A bottle Tyler himself had bought 3 Christmases ago after Nicole said they needed something classier for guests. Nicole stepped farther outside, now lowering her voice. "You should have left months ago," she said. "Honestly, Tyler, this whole pretending to be content thing, it's pathetic." The wind pushed harder across the porch. Tyler looked past her into the house. The marble countertops, the floating staircase, the vaulted ceilings Nicole loved showing off online. 9 years. 9 years inside that house. Nicole followed his eyes and misunderstood completely. "You're not keeping it," she said quickly. Derek already explained what happens next. Of course he had. Tyler shifted the duffel bag higher onto his shoulder. Still calm. Still silent. That silence irritated Nicole more than screaming ever could. "You know what everybody thinks," she asked. "They think I carried you for years." Tyler looked back at her. For a brief second, something unreadable moved behind his eyes. Not anger, not hurt. Calculation. Nicole missed it entirely. She took another sip of wine. "You drove that rusted truck while I built actual connections. Actual money. You were happy playing repair guy while I handled the real world." Inside, Derek smirked slightly. Tyler noticed Derek's overnight bag near the stairs. So this wasn't spontaneous. Interesting. A bedroom light upstairs turned on briefly. Probably movement from one of Nicole's designer motion sensors. Tyler remembered installing the entire system himself because Nicole didn't trust contractors inside the house. Now another man stood barefoot in the kitchen he built. The irony almost made him smile. A gust of wind blew snow against the porch columns. Then came headlights. Low, wide, approaching slowly through the storm. Nicole glanced toward the street. A black SUV turned the corner and rolled silently toward the driveway. Large vehicle. Matte black finish. Tinted windows. No front plate visible from the angle. The engine barely made noise. Nicole frowned. "Who is that?" Tyler didn't answer. The SUV stopped directly in front of the house. For 1 second, nobody moved. Then the rear passenger door opened. A tall man stepped out wearing a dark wool coat over a charcoal suit. Broad shoulders, military posture. Late 40s, Marcus Reed. Snow crunched under polished black boots as he approached the walkway. Nicole's expression changed immediately. Confusion first, then caution. Marcus ignored her completely. He walked straight toward Tyler. "Mr. Coleman," he said calmly. "Sorry we're late. 25 was backed up." Nicole blinked. Derek straightened inside the kitchen. Tyler handed Marcus the duffel bag without a word. Marcus took it immediately. Another man exited the SUV from the driver's side. Then another. Professional. Quiet. Disciplined spacing. Nicole's voice lost some of its confidence. "Tyler." "What is this?" Tyler finally spoke. His voice came out low and steady. "You should go inside. It's cold." Nicole stared at him. Not because of the words, because of the tone. She had spent years hearing Tyler sound patient, tired, agreeable. This voice sounded different, controlled, like a man used to being obeyed. Derek stepped onto the porch, now whiskey glass still in hand. "What exactly is going on here?" he asked. Marcus turned slightly towards Derek. "Not threatening. Worse. Professional. Sir Marcus said I'd advise you to return inside." Derek laughed once. "Or what?" Marcus didn't react. Tyler watched quietly as snow gathered along the edges of Derek's expensive leather loafers. Nicole looked between them. Something was shifting. She could feel it, but she didn't understand it yet. Tyler reached into the inside pocket of Marcus's coat after Marcus opened it slightly for him. Tyler removed a slim black phone. Not his regular phone. This one was encrypted titanium black with no visible logo. Nicole noticed immediately. Her eyes narrowed. "You have another phone?" Tyler ignored the question. The screen lit briefly in his hand. Several unread notifications. One message sat at the top. "Evelyn Brooks. Urgent. Call me before morning. Legal issue escalating." Tyler locked the screen again. Derek saw it too. And Derek was smart enough to notice something Nicole didn't. Men who struggled financially did not carry phones like that. The air on the porch suddenly felt tighter. Tyler looked once more at the house, the place Nicole thought represented status, the place Derek thought he would help take from him. Then Tyler stepped off the porch. Marcus opened the SUV door. Warm interior light spilled across the snow. Nicole took one fast step forward. "Wait." Tyler paused. For the first time that night, Nicole sounded uncertain. "What is this security team thing?" Tyler looked back at her over falling snow. Streetlight reflected faintly across his face. "You really never asked what I did all day," he said quietly. Then he got into the SUV. The door closed softly. And Derek Whitmore suddenly no longer looked comfortable standing in Tyler Coleman's house. KT Thuk, PHN2, PHN3. The SUV moved silently through downtown Denver while snow washed across the windshield in white streaks. Tyler Coleman sat in the rear seat without speaking. Marcus Reed sat across from him, one hand resting near his tablet eyes, occasionally scanning traffic through the tinted glass. Up front, the driver kept both hands steady on the wheel as they merged onto Broadway. Nobody asked Tyler if he was okay. That was one of the reasons he trusted them. People who worked around power long enough learned something important. The loudest moments were usually the least dangerous. Real damage happened quietly, in kitchens, in court filings, in signatures at midnight. Tyler leaned his head back slightly and watched Denver pass outside. Closed storefronts, snow-covered parking meters, a homeless man pushing a shopping cart under neon beer signs. 9 years. 9 years reduced to one duffel bag sitting beside him on imported leather seats. Marcus finally broke the silence. "You want us to secure the Cherry Creek property tonight?" Tyler shook his head once. "No." Marcus nodded immediately. No debate, no suggestions. Tyler appreciated that too. Most people mistook calm for weakness because they needed noise to feel important. Marcus had spent enough years in military extraction teams to know silence usually belonged to the man actually in control. The SUV turned toward Lodo. Tyler stared down briefly at his hands. Calloused knuckles. Small scar near his thumb from welding equipment 20 years earlier. Nicole used to hold those hands differently. Back before Aspen parties. Back before luxury real estate dinners and rooftop charity galas had changed the way she looked at people. Tyler remembered their first apartment near Capitol Hill. 600 square feet, broken heater, water stains near the bathroom ceiling. Nicole had worked 2 jobs then. Tyler had 2. Back then, she used to laugh when he fixed things around the apartment himself. "You always look like you're preparing for the apocalypse," she once told him, while watching him repair a kitchen pipe at midnight. At the time, she sounded affectionate. Years later, the same sentence sounded insulting. Funny how tone changed before loyalty did. The SUV stopped briefly at a red light near Union Station. Marcus glanced up from his tablet. "We confirmed Whitmore entered the residence at 11:42 p.m. Tyler nodded once. No surprise there. Marcus continued carefully. "You want surveillance expanded?" Tyler looked out the window again. "No illegal access. No games. We document only what's visible." Marcus gave another short nod. That answer was predictable. Tyler never crossed lines emotionally, especially when angry. That discipline came from his father. Richard Coleman built Coleman Vanguard Holdings from military freight contracts and emergency infrastructure logistics during the late 90s. He used to say something Tyler never forgot. Emotion creates witnesses. Patience creates leverage. Richard Coleman died from a stroke inside a Manhattan hotel suite 12 years earlier. 3 senators attended the funeral. So did 2 former CIA directors. Nicole never met him. Tyler made sure of that. After Richard died, Tyler inherited a company already valued in the hundreds of millions. But he also inherited enemies, lawsuits, federal scrutiny, investors who smiled publicly while preparing knives privately. That was the period that changed him. He stopped trusting attention, stopped trusting expensive people, stopped believing wealth made anyone impressive. So he disappeared intentionally. Not legally, socially. Tyler shifted Coleman Vanguard ownership structures into layered trusts and holding companies. Public-facing executives handled interviews and media appearances, while Tyler quietly operated from the background. Then he met Nicole. She was 28, and still hungry enough to admire effort more than status. At first. The SUV entered an underground garage beneath a private high-rise near Larimer Square. Security gates opened automatically. Marcus looked toward him. "Penthouse is secured." Tyler stepped out. Warm underground air replaced the cold immediately. A private elevator waited beyond reinforced glass doors. No logos, no front desk, no residents wandering hallways. Privacy cost money in Denver. Real privacy cost much more. Inside the elevator, Tyler loosened the cuff of his thermal shirt slightly. Marcus watched him carefully. "You knew this was coming?" Marcus asked. Tyler considered the question honestly. "Yes." "How long, about 6 months?" Marcus absorbed that quietly. The elevator opened directly into the penthouse. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked downtown Denver beneath snowfall and scattered city lights. Minimalist furniture, dark oak floors, no personal photographs visible anywhere. Tyler rarely slept there. He walked directly toward the kitchen counter. A second phone already waited beside a sealed envelope and a glass bottle of sparkling water. Marcus handed him a tablet. "We pulled preliminary financial movement from shared marital accounts." Tyler skimmed the numbers quickly. Luxury retail, hotel charges, private flights. Derek Whitmore wasn't even trying to hide spending anymore. Interesting. Tyler placed the tablet down. His encrypted phone vibrated immediately. "Evelyn Brooks," he answered. "Tell me." Evelyn's voice came through sharp and awake, despite the hour. Nicole attempted access into one of the Vanguard family trusts at 10:17 tonight. Tyler walked slowly toward the windows. And she failed. But someone coached her through the process. Derek, obviously. Tyler watched snow move across rooftop lights below. "She used her own credentials." "Yes, good." Evelyn understood instantly. A documented access attempt mattered legally, especially during divorce proceedings. Evelyn continued, "There's more." Tyler stayed quiet. "We found inquiries into Vanguard subsidiary structures from a legal database registered through Whitmore and Kane." That made Tyler's eyes narrow slightly. Not anger. Focus. Specific inquiries. Transportation corridors. Federal contracts. Executive holdings. Marcus looked up immediately from across the room. Even he understood the implication now. This was no longer personal curiosity. Someone was fishing for corporate vulnerabilities. Tyler spoke calmly. "How deep? We don't know yet." Tyler remained silent for several seconds. Evelyn finally asked, "What do you want me to do?" Outside snow continued falling across Denver. Nicole was probably still inside the house right now, replaying the SUV in her mind, trying to understand why armed professionals called her husband Mr. Coleman, trying to remember every moment she dismissed him publicly. Tyler felt no satisfaction from that thought, only clarity. He answered Evelyn carefully. "We do nothing emotional. Understood. We document everything. Quietly. Already started." And Evelyn. "Yes, if Whitmore touches protected company data even once." He stopped there. No need to finish. Evelyn already understood federal consequences better than most judges. "I'll prepare containment procedures," she said. Tyler ended the call. Marcus folded his arms near the kitchen island. "You think Whitmore knows who you are?" Tyler poured water slowly into a glass. "No." Marcus frowned slightly. "Then why push this hard?" Tyler took one sip before answering. "Because men like Derek only measure visible value." Marcus said nothing. Tyler looked out across the skyline again. Nicole had spent years around wealth without ever learning how real power moved. Real power rarely wore designer labels loudly. It built structures quietly. It waited. And tonight, for the first time, Tyler realized something uncomfortable. Nicole had not betrayed him suddenly. She had stopped respecting him long before she stopped loving him. That part hurt more. The encrypted phone buzzed again. New message. "Evelyn Brooks. You need to see this before morning. Attachment incoming." A file transferred onto the screen. Tyler opened it. Hotel surveillance stills. Nicole, Derek. And sitting across from them at a private table inside the Crawford Hotel lounge, a senior executive from Blackridge Strategic Transit, one of Coleman Vanguard's largest competitors. Tyler stared at the image for several long seconds. Then Marcus saw his face change for the first time that night. Small, controlled, dangerous. "What is it?" Marcus asked quietly. Tyler locked the screen. His voice came out low. "This isn't just an affair anymore." Tyler Coleman barely slept. By 5:40 a.m., the snow over downtown Denver had slowed into a thin gray drizzle that coated the glass walls of the penthouse. The city below looked cold and metallic beneath the early morning haze. Tyler stood alone near the windows with a black ceramic coffee mug in one hand. No sugar, no cream. Same coffee he had drank for 15 years. Most people assumed wealthy men changed their tastes after money arrived. Tyler's never had. Behind him, 3 large monitors glowed quietly inside a concealed workspace built into the wall paneling. Financial reports, logistics maps, overnight legal notifications. Coleman Vanguard Holdings moved cargo security infrastructure, emergency equipment, and federal contract materials across 12 states. The company employed over 4,000 people directly and subcontracted thousands more. Nicole thought Tyler fixed server issues for a regional logistics branch. Technically, he did sometimes. That part always amused him. A soft knock came from the penthouse entrance. Marcus entered first, followed by Evelyn Brooks. Evelyn moved like someone permanently running 10 minutes ahead of everyone else. Dark navy coat, hair tied back tightly, thin leather portfolio under one arm. 39 years old, Harvard Law, former federal compliance prosecutor, and possibly the only person in Denver who spoke to Tyler without ever appearing intimidated by him. Evelyn stepped into the penthouse and immediately noticed the same thing Marcus had hours earlier. Tyler looked calm. Too calm. That usually meant he had already made decisions. She placed the portfolio on the kitchen island. "We have a problem," she said. Tyler nodded once toward the coffee machine. "You still take it black?" Evelyn blinked once, even now, especially now. Tyler poured her coffee himself before she answered. "Yes." Marcus remained near the windows while Evelyn opened the portfolio. Several printed photographs slid across the marble countertop. Hotel surveillance images, financial records, screenshots of encrypted communication logs. Tyler looked down carefully. Nicole and Derek inside the Crawford Hotel lounge. Derek shaking hands with Martin Voss, Senior Acquisitions Director at Blackridge Strategic Transit. Tyler recognized him immediately. Blackridge had spent 18 months trying to undercut Coleman Vanguard's federal infrastructure contracts in Nevada and Colorado. Dirty company, aggressive executives, enough political connections to survive lawsuits. Evelyn pointed toward the timestamp. This meeting happened 3 weeks ago. Tyler remained silent. Nicole attended twice after this meeting without Whitmore present. That made Marcus turn slightly. Tyler's eyes moved across another page. Luxury hotel charges, temporary burner phone registrations, vehicle rental logs. Evelyn folded her arms. "We believe Whitmore used Nicole to gather access patterns from your personal schedule and property locations." Tyler looked up. "Not corporate access. Not yet. Yet. Important word." Tyler took another sip of coffee. Still calm. Evelyn studied him carefully. "You're taking this remarkably well." Tyler looked back toward the windows. "No," he said quietly. "I'm taking it seriously. Big difference. People who panicked usually wanted emotional relief." Tyler wanted information. Marcus stepped closer now. "You think Nicole understands what Whitmore's involved in?" Tyler answered immediately. "No." That answer came without hesitation. Not because Tyler trusted Nicole anymore, because he understood her weaknesses clearly. Nicole chased status, attention, luxury, validation from people wealthier than herself. But she wasn't strategic enough for corporate espionage. Derek Whitmore was. Evelyn slid another file forward. "There's more." Tyler opened it. His expression hardened slightly for the first time that morning. It was a trust access report, time-stamped 10:17 p.m. Nicole had attempted access into the Coleman Family Continuity Trust using old emergency credentials Tyler created years earlier. She failed authentication after 3 attempts. Then came the important detail. The attempts originated through a remote VPN routed from Whitmore and Kane family law. Evelyn tapped the page once. That's catastrophic for him if we prove intent. Tyler read the report twice. Every line, every timestamp. Then he placed it down carefully. No police yet. Marcus frowned. Tyler nor Marcus stopped immediately. Tyler walked toward the hidden workspace monitors. One screen displayed active market data from Singapore. Another showed overnight freight movement through Phoenix. Normal operations. Billions of dollars moved quietly every day without emotion attached to them. Tyler stared at the screens while speaking calmly. If we move early, Whitmore claims misunderstanding. Evelyn nodded slowly. Tyler continued. If we move later, after evidence compounds, he loses options. Marcus leaned against the counter. You already think this goes beyond divorce court. It does. Tyler finally turned back toward them. Whitmore doesn't care about Nicole. He cares about leverage. Evelyn crossed her arms, and Nicole Tyler paused briefly. The answer hurt more than he expected. She cared about appearances more than reality. Silence settled briefly through the penthouse. Outside rain streaked the windows. Tyler remembered something suddenly. 3 months earlier, charity gala at the Denver Art Museum. Nicole introducing him to a hedge fund manager from Scottsdale. This is Tyler, she said with a laugh. He's basically married to his toolbox. People laughed politely. Tyler laughed too. At the time. Now the memory sat differently. Not because of the insult, because he remembered Derek standing nearby, watching the interaction carefully, studying dynamics, studying weakness. Predators always watched hierarchy first. Evelyn interrupted the silence. There's another issue. Tyler looked toward her. Whitmore filed preliminary divorce documentation electronically at 1:12 a.m. fast. Too fast. Prepared in advance. Tyler nodded slightly. What claims Evelyn opened another page? Emotional neglect, financial instability, psychological manipulation through withdrawal behavior. Marcus actually let out a short laugh. Tyler didn't. Evelyn continued. He's positioning you as a dependent spouse with concealed hostility issues. Interesting strategy. Tyler sat down finally. First time all morning. What else? Evelyn hesitated slightly. That got Tyler's attention immediately. She requested temporary emergency possession of the Cherry Creek property. Marcus muttered under his breath. Tyler only leaned back slightly in the chair. Nicole really had no idea. The Cherry Creek house existed under an irrevocable premarital asset trust established before the wedding. Nicole's name had never touched ownership. Not once. Tyler remembered offering years ago to place her on shared title structures. Nicole refused. At the time, she said lawyers complicated relationships. Now Tyler wondered if Derek advised that intentionally. Evelyn watched Tyler carefully again. You okay? Tyler looked almost confused by the question. Then he realized she wasn't asking professionally. She meant personally. He answered honestly. I think I stopped being surprised a long time ago. Evelyn said nothing, because she believed him. Tyler stood again and walked toward the windows. Denver traffic was beginning to wake below. Headlights moved through wet streets. Workers headed toward jobs. Coffee shops opened. Normal lives continuing while entire marriages collapsed quietly above the city. Tyler spoke without turning around. Prepare defensive filings only. Evelyn frowned slightly. Only, we don't attack first. Marcus looked unconvinced. Tyler continued calmly. People reveal themselves fastest when they think they're winning. That sentence settled heavily in the room, because everyone there knew Tyler was right. Evelyn closed the portfolio. I'll expand internal monitoring around Blackridge. Discreetly. Of course. Marcus checked his phone suddenly, then looked up. We've got movement. Tyler turned slightly. Nicole Marcus nodded once. She just called 3 private investigators. Interesting. Evelyn's eyes narrowed. She's scared. Tyler shook his head. No. He looked toward the rain-covered skyline again. She's curious. Then his encrypted phone vibrated once more. New message. Unknown number. Only 1 sentence. You don't understand how far this goes. Tyler stared at the screen. No emotion crossed his face, but Marcus saw it. That stillness. That dangerous stillness. The kind that appeared right before Tyler Coleman stopped treating something like a personal problem and started treating it like a threat. By Friday evening, Nicole Harper had convinced herself she was still in control. That was the dangerous stage. Not panic, confidence. The Cherry Creek house glowed warmly beneath hanging patio lights, while snow melted slowly along the heated driveway. Inside, music drifted through the open-concept living room as Nicole moved between guests with a practiced smile and a crystal wine glass in hand. Everything looked curated, intentional, untouched. Exactly how Nicole liked her life to appear. 3 women from her real estate office stood near the marble fireplace discussing ski properties in Vail. A local cosmetic surgeon laughed too loudly near the kitchen island. Derek Whitmore stood comfortably at the center of the room, wearing a navy cashmere sweater and the relaxed expression of a man who believed he had already won. Tyler's absence helped the illusion. Nicole wanted that. She needed people to believe Tyler disappeared because he couldn't handle her success. Not because something underneath the surface had shifted violently. Derek wrapped an arm lightly around Nicole's waist as 2 guests approached. "You doing okay?" one woman asked carefully. Nicole gave the exact smile she used during difficult negotiations. "Honestly," she said, "I should have done this years ago." Soft, sympathetic laughter followed. Derek smirked into his whiskey. Nicole continued smoothly. "Tyler's a good person, but eventually you realize love doesn't build ambition." Several people nodded. One man muttered, "That'll preach." Nicole smiled wider. She was performing now. Tyler used to notice that look instantly. The performance smile. The one she used when she wanted approval, more than honesty. Derek leaned closer toward her ear. "See, nobody's judging you." Nicole relaxed slightly. That mattered to her more than almost anything. Judgment, status, perception. She glanced around the room at polished countertops, designer furniture, soft recessed lighting. The house finally felt like hers tonight. Then the front doorbell rang. Nicole frowned slightly. She wasn't expecting anyone else. Derek set his glass down. Probably another guest. But when Nicole opened the door, no smiling couple waited outside. Instead, a man in a charcoal overcoat stood calmly beneath the porch light, holding a leather document folder. Late 50s. Professional posture, no-nonsense expression. "Miss Harper?" he asked. Nicole immediately shifted into her polished business tone. "Yes, my name is Alan Mercer. I'm the acting asset administrator for the Coleman Residential Trust." Nicole blinked once. The what? Mercer opened the folder carefully. Snow drifted across the porch between them. "I'm here to formally notify occupants that the Cherry Creek property falls under premarital protected trust ownership established in 2012. Nicole stared at him. For 1 second, the words didn't fully connect. Then Derek appeared behind her. "What's this regarding?" Derek asked sharply. Mercer looked toward him calmly. "And you are her attorney." Mercer nodded politely. "Excellent. Then you'll understand this process quickly." He removed several stapled documents. Nicole's stomach tightened. "This property," Mercer continued, "is solely owned through the Coleman Residential Preservation Trust. Mrs. Harper has no legal ownership claim under current filings." Silence. Music still drifted softly from the kitchen behind them. Glasses clinked somewhere inside the house. Nicole finally laughed once. Short, disbelieving. That's impossible. Mercer didn't react emotionally. I assure you it isn't. Derek stepped forward now. Let me see that. Mercer handed him the paperwork. Nicole watched Derek's confidence begin to fade line by line. Subtle at first, his jaw tightening, eyes moving faster, one page, then another. Trust structures, property acquisition dates, asset protection filings, premarital ownership certifications. Nicole suddenly felt cold despite the heated foyer. No, she said quietly. No, Tyler and I bought this house together. Mercer shook his head once. Mr. Coleman purchased the property through the trust 11 months before the marriage. Nicole looked immediately toward Derek. Derek kept reading, not answering, which scared her more. Mercer continued professionally. Per trust protocol, occupancy conditions will remain unchanged temporarily pending legal review. However, unauthorized liquidation attempts or title disputes will trigger immediate escalation. Nicole stared blankly. Liquidation attempts. Mercer's eyes shifted briefly toward Derek. There were inquiries submitted yesterday regarding property-backed leverage positions. Derek looked up sharply. Nicole's face changed instantly. What does that mean? Derek answered too quickly. It's standard legal preparation, but Mercer was already closing the folder. Mr. Whitmore, he said calmly, I'd strongly advise caution moving forward. Then he handed Nicole one final envelope. Formal notice copy. Good evening. And just like that, he walked away into the snow. Nicole stood frozen in the doorway. Inside the living room, guests were beginning to notice something was wrong. Derek shut the folder harder than necessary. This changes nothing, he said immediately. Nicole turned toward him. But you said I know what I said. His tone sharpened. Too sharp. Nicole noticed. Derek took a breath and lowered his voice again. Listen to me carefully. Asset shielding like this happens all the time. We challenge it. Nicole searched his face. You didn't know about this? That question landed badly. Derek's silence answered first. Nicole suddenly remembered Tyler fixing the garage shelves himself 3 winters ago, while she mocked him for refusing to hire contractors. She remembered Tyler quietly paying for entire kitchen renovations without discussing financing once. She remembered never actually seeing mortgage paperwork. How had she missed that no? More honestly, why had she never cared enough to ask? Derek stepped closer. Nicole, don't spiral right now. That's exactly what he wants. Inside the house, conversations had started lowering. Guests sensed tension the way animals sensed storms. Nicole folded her arms tightly. You told me he was hiding money because he was insecure. Derek's jaw tightened slightly. He was, but not because he was broke. No answer. That silence was louder than shouting. One of Nicole's co-workers approached carefully from the kitchen. Everything okay? Nicole forced a quick smile immediately. Yeah, just paperwork. The woman nodded uncertainly and retreated. Nicole looked back toward Derek. For the first time since Tyler left, she felt something she hadn't expected. Not guilt? Not yet. Uncertainty. Real uncertainty. Derek placed the folder onto the entry table. Tyler's trying to intimidate you. Nicole stared at the documents. Why would a maintenance tech need trust structures? Wrong question. She knew it the moment she asked it aloud. Derek looked away briefly. That was enough. Nicole suddenly realized something terrifying. Derek didn't fully understand Tyler either anymore. The room felt different now. Smaller. Less stable. She walked slowly back into the living room while guests pretended not to watch her. Outside, snow continued falling softly across Cherry Creek North. Somewhere downtown, Tyler Coleman sat quietly inside a private conference room reviewing legal filings while people in tailored suits waited for his decisions. But inside this house, The house Nicole believed symbolized freedom the illusion had finally cracked. And Derek Whitmore, for the first time since this started, no longer looked like a man completely certain of the outcome. Tyler Coleman hated conference rooms. Too many people pretending certainty. Too many expensive watches resting on tables while men lied professionally. Still, by Monday morning, he sat inside one anyway. 32 floors above downtown Denver. Private executive boardroom. Soundproof walls. Matte, black screens stretching across one side of the room. Outside the windows, the city looked frozen beneath pale morning light. Inside, 6 attorneys waited silently around the table, while Evelyn Brooks organized folders with machine-like precision. Nobody spoke casually when Tyler entered. That alone separated Coleman Vanguard from most companies. Fear wasn't the reason. Respect was. Tyler took the chair near the end of the table instead of the head position. He always did. Marcus stood near the wall, reviewing security updates through an earpiece, while 2 members of internal compliance prepared digital evidence displays. Evelyn finally looked up. We confirmed Blackridge contact frequency increased after Whitmore entered the picture. Tyler nodded once. How many touch points? 7 direct interactions. 4 indirect. She tapped the remote. A timeline appeared across the screen. Hotel meetings, encrypted messages, financial transfers. Temporary burner devices activated and discarded across Denver, Aspen, and Scottsdale. One line on the screen mattered most: Nicole Harper device proximity events. Tyler stared at it silently. Not because he thought Nicole masterminded anything, because she had been close enough not to notice danger. That bothered him. Evelyn continued, "We still have no evidence Nicole knowingly transferred corporate material. Whitmore, different story." Marcus spoke without looking up from his tablet. Whitmore accessed 3 restricted legal databases using proxy credentials Saturday night. Tyler leaned back slightly. That was reckless. Men got sloppy when they believed they were smarter than consequences. One younger attorney near the far end cleared his throat carefully. "Sir, he said if Whitmore attempted unauthorized trust penetration tied to a federal contractor structure, we may need immediate reporting obligations." Tyler looked toward him calmly. The attorney nearly straightened instinctively under the attention. Tyler asked one question. Did he succeed? No. Then we wait. Evelyn watched Tyler closely. She already knew why. The stronger case wasn't attempted access. It was intent. Intent took patience. Tyler folded his hands slowly. "What's Nicole doing?" Evelyn glanced at another file. "She canceled 2 listing appointments this morning." "Interesting." That's not all Evelyn added. "She contacted 3 forensic accountants yesterday." Marcus looked up now. Tyler remained still. Nicole was finally digging, trying to understand what kind of man she had actually married. Too late. Tyler looked toward the snow-covered skyline outside the windows. 9 years replayed quietly in fragments. Nicole laughing while he changed brake pads in their driveway. Nicole apologizing once after mocking his truck in front of her coworkers. Nicole slowly becoming someone who measured human value by visible luxury. The transformation hadn't happened overnight. That was the painful part. Contempt grew gradually, quietly, like rust. Evelyn slid another folder across the table. Temporary hearing scheduled Thursday morning. Tyler opened it. Nicole Harper versus Tyler Coleman. Requests for emergency financial disclosure. Temporary support. Residential protection claims. He read every line carefully. Then one sentence caught his attention. The petitioner asserts the respondent intentionally concealed material financial realities throughout the marriage. Tyler almost smiled at that. Not because it was inaccurate, because Nicole still thought concealment meant shame. She didn't understand privacy could also be protection. Marcus's phone buzzed. He glanced down. Then his expression hardened slightly. We have movement at the Cherry Creek property. Tyler looked up immediately. Marcus continued. Whitmore brought in outside IT contractors this morning. Evelyn's eyes narrowed instantly. Doing what network duplication attempts. The room went silent. Tyler stood slowly. That changed things, because the Cherry Creek house still contained inactive legacy terminals connected to older Vanguard routing systems Tyler occasionally used remotely years earlier. Nothing critical remained active. But Whitmore wouldn't know that, which meant one thing. He was fishing. Evelyn closed her folder sharply. That's enough? Tyler nodded once, finally. Yes. Marcus was already speaking quietly into his earpiece. Tyler walked toward the windows again while instructions moved rapidly behind him. Containment teams, legal notices, digital preservation orders, professional responses. No yelling, no threats, just systems activating. That was the difference between emotional men and prepared men. Prepared men built structures long before they needed them. Evelyn approached carefully beside him. You know Nicole's going to panic once this escalates. Tyler kept watching traffic below. She should leave the house. You think Whitmore's using her? Tyler answered after a long pause. I think Derek Whitmore mistakes access for intelligence. Evelyn nodded slightly. She understood exactly what he meant. Whitmore believed proximity to Tyler's life gave him leverage. But Tyler had spent 12 years building his life specifically, so no single point could destroy it. Another attorney approached carefully. Mr. Coleman, federal counsel wants to know if you intend criminal referral. Tyler looked toward him. Not yet. The attorney hesitated. With respect, sir, this may already qualify. Tyler's voice stayed level, and once criminal referral happens, we lose visibility. The attorney nodded immediately. Right. Tyler wanted Whitmore comfortable. Comfortable people made mistakes. Marcus crossed the room toward them. Field team confirms copied network data was empty. Tyler expected that. 3 years earlier, he moved all meaningful infrastructure into segmented air-gapped systems after a cybersecurity incident in Phoenix. Still, Whitmore attempting extraction mattered. Intent again. Always intent. Marcus lowered his voice slightly. One more thing. Tyler waited. The IT contractor recognized your name. Interesting, Marcus continued. Apparently Whitmore called you some washed-up maintenance guy with hidden savings. Evelyn actually laughed once under her breath. Tyler didn't. Not because he was offended, because Derek still hadn't learned the central mistake. He kept underestimating quiet men. That mistake ruined people in business every year. Tyler's encrypted phone vibrated. Unknown number again. This time an image arrived. Nicole, sitting alone inside her Mercedes outside a coffee shop in Cherry Creek. Time-stamped 12 minutes earlier. Another message followed. She's asking questions now. Tyler stared at the screen carefully. Not fear, not concern. Analysis. Someone was monitoring Nicole independently now. Not Marcus's people, not Evelyn's, someone else. And that meant Blackridge might already realize Whitmore had failed. Evelyn noticed the shift in Tyler's expression instantly. What? Tyler handed her the phone. She read silently, then looked up sharply. That's not good. No, it wasn't. Because corporate predators hated loose ends, and Nicole Harper, for all her mistakes, might suddenly know too much without realizing it. Tyler turned toward Marcus. Get eyes on Nicole immediately. Marcus nodded once and moved. Evelyn watched Tyler carefully. You still protecting her? Tyler looked down briefly at the city below. People crossing intersections. Construction crews moving through slush-covered streets. Normal life continuing. Then he answered quietly. She betrayed me. He paused. But I'm not going to let her become collateral damage. That sentence settled heavily inside the boardroom, because everyone there understood what it meant. Tyler Coleman was no longer handling a divorce. He was containing a threat. And somewhere across Denver, Derek Whitmore still believed this was just a rich woman leaving her unimpressive husband, which meant Derek still had absolutely no idea how dangerous the next few days were about to become. Nicole Harper stopped recognizing her own house by Wednesday night. Not physically, emotionally. The Cherry Creek property still smelled like cedar candles and expensive cleaning products. The marble floors still reflected warm, recessed lighting. Her designer coats still hung perfectly arranged inside the custom entry closet. But the house no longer felt stable. Every room now carried the quiet pressure of hidden things. Things Tyler never explained. Things Derek suddenly avoided discussing directly. Nicole sat alone at the kitchen island with her laptop open and a half-finished glass of Pinot Noir warming beside her untouched. 3 browser tabs filled the screen. Coleman Vanguard Holdings, Coleman Infrastructure Logistics, Coleman Strategic Defense Transit Systems. The deeper she searched, the worse the feeling became. No public founder profile, no interviews, no Forbes covers, no visible executive biography for Tyler Coleman anywhere. That should have comforted her. Instead, it terrified her, because real wealth usually wanted attention. The kind Tyler hid from usually turned out to be something else entirely. Nicole leaned back slowly in the chair. Her phone buzzed. Derek. She stared at the screen for several seconds before answering. What, you sound tense. I wonder why. Derek ignored the tone. I'm coming over. Nicole almost said no. Almost. But 10 minutes later, she still opened the door for him. Derek entered carrying legal folders and wearing the same controlled confidence he always used in courtrooms. But Nicole noticed small details tonight she had ignored before. The faster speech, the forced calm, the fact he checked his phone every 30 seconds. Derek placed the folders on the counter. We need to stay aggressive. Nicole folded her arms. You told me Tyler was hiding money because he was embarrassed. He was hiding assets. That's not the same thing. Derek sighed through his nose. Nicole, wealthy men do this constantly, but you didn't know how wealthy. Silence. There it was again. That hesitation. Tiny, but real. Nicole turned her laptop toward him. I searched Coleman Vanguard. Derek glanced briefly at the screen, then away too quickly. You need to stop spiraling online. No. I need you to start telling me the truth. Derek's jaw tightened. Before he could answer, headlights moved across the front windows. Both of them looked automatically. Black SUV. Again. Nicole stood immediately. Her pulse jumped hard enough she felt it in her throat. The SUV parked across the street, this time beneath a dead winter tree. Engine idling. Lights off. Derek muttered under his breath. What the hell is this intimidation routine? Nicole looked toward him sharply. You said he was bluffing. He is. But Derek didn't sound convincing anymore. Nicole walked closer toward the window. The SUV never moved. Whoever sat inside wasn't trying to hide. That was intentional. Pressure. Not threats. Pressure. Nicole suddenly remembered Tyler sitting quietly through arguments for years while she accused him of lacking ambition. She used to think silence meant weakness. Now she wasn't so sure. Derek walked beside her. I can file emergency motions tomorrow, he said. We force disclosure, freeze accounts, push him into public court exposure. Nicole looked up slowly. And if he wants that, Derek frowned. What if Tyler's waiting for you to push harder? That irritated Derek immediately. You're overthinking this. No, Nicole said quietly. I think maybe you underestimated him. The room fell silent. Derek stepped away from the window. Listen carefully. Men like Tyler build myths around themselves after they get caught lying. Nicole stared at him. Men like Tyler. Interesting phrase. As if Derek still believed Tyler belonged beneath him socially, that arrogance suddenly looked dangerous. Nicole's phone buzzed on the counter. Unknown number, one message. Check your email before trusting him. Nicole frowned. What now? Derek stepped closer automatically. Who sent that? I don't know. Nicole opened her inbox slowly. A new email waited. No sender name, no subject line, only attachments. 5 files. Nicole opened the first. Hotel receipts. Aspen, Miami, Scottsdale. Her stomach tightened. The second file opened. Photos. Derek. With another woman. Not Nicole, several women. Different dates, different hotels. Nicole's face drained slowly of color. Derek saw it immediately. What is that? Nicole looked up at him. Very slowly. Who's Amanda Pierce? Derek froze. Only for half a second. But half a second was enough. Nicole opened another photo. Derek kissing a brunette outside a steakhouse in Dallas. Time-stamped 4 months ago. Another. Nicole's chest tightened painfully. Not because she loved Derek deeply. She didn't. Not really. What hurt was realizing she had destroyed her marriage for someone fundamentally dishonest. Derek moved quickly now. Nicole, listen to me. These are probably surveillance manipulations. She stared at him. You told me Tyler emotionally manipulated people. He does. You said he was weak. He is. Then why does everyone around him move like trained professionals? Derek's silence answered again. Nicole suddenly understood something Tyler probably realized months earlier. Derek didn't fully control this situation anymore either. That scared her more than the cheating. The SUV outside still waited silently. Nicole looked toward it again. Watching. Always watching. Derek ran a hand through his hair aggressively. This is exactly what he wants. Division. Nicole looked back at him. No, she said quietly. I think Tyler just stopped protecting us from consequences. The words hung heavily between them. Derek's phone suddenly rang. He checked the screen. Expression changed instantly. He answered fast. What pause? Then his face darkened. When Nicole watched carefully now. Really watched. For the first time since meeting Derek Whitmore, she saw fear underneath the polish. Real fear. Derek ended the call sharply. What happened? Nicole asked. He grabbed his coat immediately. Nothing. Derek. He looked at her. And for the first time, Nicole noticed something ugly beneath his confidence. Self-preservation. Pure self-preservation. My office had a compliance visit tonight, he said. Nicole blinked. What kind of compliance visit? Derek avoided eye contact. Routine. Lie. Obvious lie. Nicole knew it instantly. Then another thought hit her hard enough to make her dizzy. Tyler still had not publicly attacked either of them once. No screaming, no social media, no public humiliation, no threats. Everything happening around them came from systems, paperwork, evidence, silent pressure. That realization frightened Nicole more than rage would have, because rage was emotional. This felt engineered. Derek headed toward the door quickly. I'll call you later. Nicole grabbed his arm before he left. Tell me the truth. Derek looked at her hand on his sleeve, then slowly back at her face. And Nicole realized he was calculating whether she was still useful. The answer in his eyes chilled her instantly. Derek removed her hand gently. You need to trust me. Then he walked out into the cold. Nicole stood motionless near the doorway while the black SUV remained parked across the street. Watching, patient, the same way Tyler always had been. Her phone buzzed again. Another unknown message. This one contained only a single sentence. He tried to sell something that didn't belong to him. Nicole stared at the screen. Outside, Derek climbed into his Mercedes too quickly, too nervously. And for the first time since throwing Tyler out at 2:13 in the morning, Nicole Harper finally understood something irreversible. She had not been divorcing a weak man. She had been standing between two very dangerous ones. The Brown Palace Hotel smelled like polished wood, old money, and quiet negotiations. Tyler Coleman arrived at 7:12 a.m. sharp. Snowmelt glistened along the sidewalks outside, while downtown Denver slowly woke beneath pale winter sunlight. Inside the historic hotel restaurant, executives in tailored coats sat behind newspapers and espresso cups, pretending not to study each other. Tyler fit into the room perfectly, which was ironic, because most people who met him outside places like this assumed he didn't belong there at all. He wore dark jeans, brown boots, and the same weathered charcoal coat Nicole used to complain about constantly. No successful man dresses like a mechanic, she once told him during a fundraiser in Aspen. Tyler remembered that now, while walking calmly toward the corner booth near the windows. Nicole was already waiting. She looked exhausted. Perfect makeup still covered most of it, but Tyler noticed details immediately. Slight swelling beneath her eyes, tension in her jaw, fingers wrapped too tightly around the coffee mug in front of her. Fear changed posture before it changed words. Nicole looked up when Tyler approached. For 1 second, she seemed uncertain whether to stand. She stayed seated instead. Tyler slid calmly into the booth across from her. Neither spoke immediately. A waiter approached. Coffee Sir Tyler nodded once. Black. The waiter left. Nicole watched him carefully, probably trying to reconcile the man sitting across from her with the one she threw into the snow 4 nights earlier. Tyler noticed her eyes lingering on his coat again. Funny. She used to hate that coat. Now she looked at it like evidence. Nicole finally spoke first. You look calm? Tyler rested one arm lightly against the table. I slept fine. That answer bothered her slightly. He could tell. Nicole looked down briefly before speaking again. I didn't know who you were. Tyler almost answered immediately, but then he realized something important. That sentence wasn't entirely true. Nicole knew exactly who he was. She simply stopped valuing the version that wasn't impressive publicly. Big difference. The waiter returned with coffee. Tyler thanked him quietly. Nicole watched that too. Everything about Tyler suddenly felt different to her now. Not because he had changed, because context had. She leaned forward slightly. Why hide all this? Tyler stirred nothing into the coffee. Hide what? You know what I mean. He took 1 sip before answering. I never lied about having money. Nicole opened her mouth, closed it again. Because technically he was right. Tyler never claimed to be poor. Nicole simply assumed visible simplicity meant lack of success. Tyler looked toward the snowfall outside the hotel windows. People usually hear what helps them feel superior. Nicole stared at him quietly. That line landed harder than shouting would have. The waitress passed nearby carrying plates of eggs and toast while soft jazz drifted through hidden speakers overhead. Normal morning. Business meetings, travelers checking out, and in the middle of it, a marriage quietly finishing itself. Nicole lowered her voice. Derek said you manipulated perceptions intentionally. Tyler finally looked directly at her again. Derek says whatever benefits Derek. Nicole looked away first. Interesting. That told Tyler more than words. She was starting to see it now. The pattern, the opportunism. Tyler reached calmly into his coat pocket. Nicole stiffened slightly. He removed a thick manila envelope and placed it gently on the table between them. Nicole frowned. What's this information? I'm serious, Tyler. So am I. Nicole hesitated before opening it. The first photograph froze her instantly. Derek Whitmore. Another woman? Hotel valet entrance? Dallas. The second photo hit harder. Derek leaving a condo building in Scottsdale with someone entirely different. The third showed financial transfers, gift purchases, private travel receipts. Nicole's breathing changed slightly. Tyler noticed immediately. Not because he enjoyed hurting her, because pain stripped performance away. Nicole looked up slowly. You investigated me? No. Tyler's voice stayed level. I investigated him after he accessed restricted legal structures tied to my company. Nicole blinked. Your company? First time she had said it out loud. Tyler nodded once. Nicole kept flipping through pages. Every new detail eroded something in her expression. Confidence, defensiveness, pride. Finally, she stopped. He told me you emotionally checked out years ago. Tyler leaned back slightly. I probably did. That surprised her. You admit that. I worked too much, trusted silence too much, assumed loyalty didn't need maintenance. Nicole stared at him. This wasn't the conversation she expected. No yelling, no bitterness, no desperate attempts to win her back. Just honesty. That somehow made everything worse. Nicole looked down again at the photographs. Did you know about Derek before that night? Yes. How long? About 6 months. Nicole closed her eyes briefly. 6 months. Tyler knew for 6 months and never exploded, never confronted her publicly, never embarrassed her. That level of control suddenly frightened her. Tyler watched snow slide slowly down the hotel windows. I kept hoping you'd stop. Nicole swallowed hard. Why didn't you say something? Tyler answered immediately. Because people reveal themselves completely when they think consequences don't exist. Silence settled heavily between them. At another table nearby, 2 executives discussed airport expansions in Phoenix. Silverware clinked softly, life continuing. Nicole's fingers tightened around the envelope. Are you trying to scare me? Tyler looked genuinely confused by the question. No. Then what is this? Tyler paused briefly before answering. A chance. Nicole frowned slightly. For what? For you to understand what Derek actually is before federal investigators explain it less politely. Nicole's face changed. What does that mean? Tyler studied her carefully now. He believed she was guilty of betrayal, vanity, disrespect, but not corporate espionage, not knowingly. That distinction mattered to him. Derek crossed into places he shouldn't have, Tyler said quietly. Nicole stared at him. What places? Tyler didn't answer directly. Instead, he slid one final document from the envelope. Nicole read the header slowly. Notice of Legal Compliance Review. Whitmore and Kane Family Law. Nicole's face lost color again. Tyler spoke softly. Derek thought proximity to me gave him leverage. Nicole looked up, and Tyler's eyes remained steady. He underestimated what he was standing near. The sentence lingered between them. Nicole suddenly looked smaller sitting there. Not physically, emotionally. For the first time in years, she seemed unsure how to perform. She whispered something then, so quietly Tyler almost missed it. I didn't think you were weak. Tyler held her gaze calmly. Yes, he said. You did. Nicole looked down immediately, because denial would have sounded ridiculous now. Tyler stood slowly from the booth. Nicole looked up fast. That's it for now. You're just leaving. Tyler placed cash beside the untouched coffee. Then looked at her one last time. I'm not interested in humiliating you, Nicole. Then why does it feel like this? Tyler adjusted the cuff of his coat slightly, because reality showed up all at once. Then he walked away through the quiet morning restaurant. Nicole remained frozen in the booth, holding photographs of the man she cheated with, while realizing something too late. Tyler Coleman never won by reacting emotionally. He won by preparing quietly, long before anyone realized there was a fight. And somewhere outside the Brown Palace Hotel, federal compliance teams were already preparing to visit Derek Whitmore again. Denver Family Court always smelled faintly like wet wool and burnt coffee. Tyler Coleman arrived at 8:03 a.m., no entourage. No dramatic entrance, just the same dark coat, dark jeans, and quiet expression he wore almost everywhere. Snow melted from people's shoes across the courthouse lobby, while security scanners beeped steadily near the entrance. Lawyers moved quickly through the halls, carrying leather briefcases and practiced urgency. Tyler walked calmly beside Evelyn Brooks. Marcus followed several steps behind. Not because Tyler needed protection inside the courthouse, because Marcus trusted patterns more than locations. Evelyn handed Tyler a thin folder while they waited outside courtroom 4B's. Whitmore filed supplemental emotional distress claims last night. Tyler skimmed the paperwork once. Allegations, manipulation, financial secrecy, psychological isolation, interesting language. Derek was building a narrative. Tyler handed the folder back without visible reaction. Evelyn studied him briefly. "You okay?" Tyler looked toward the closed courtroom doors. "I'm tired." That answer surprised her more than anger would have. Not physically tired, something deeper. Tired of seeing how easily intelligent people sacrificed integrity once money and ego entered the room. Across the hallway, Derek Whitmore appeared with Nicole beside him. Derek wore a charcoal suit worth more than most people's monthly rent. Perfect tie knot, controlled expression, confident stride. But Tyler noticed it immediately. Derek's confidence looked rehearsed today. Nicole noticed Tyler first. Her eyes lingered on him several seconds too long before quickly looking away. No hatred there anymore. Just uncertainty. Derek approached with the polished smile attorneys used before unpleasant conversations. "Mr. Coleman," he said smoothly, "good to see you functioning." Marcus's jaw tightened slightly behind them. Tyler barely reacted. Evelyn stepped forward instead. "Counselor." Derek's smile faded a fraction when he recognized her. Not because he didn't know who she was, because he absolutely did. Evelyn Brooks had dismantled 3 corporate fraud defense teams during her years in federal compliance prosecution. Derek understood immediately what her presence meant. This was no longer ordinary divorce litigation. Still, arrogance pushed him forward. "You seem overdressed for family court," Derek said lightly. Evelyn answered without changing expression. "You seem underprepared for federal scrutiny." That landed. Tyler saw it in Derek's eyes instantly. Small flicker, pressure. Nicole looked between them uneasily. The courtroom doors opened. People began filing inside. Tyler entered without another word. Courtroom 4B felt colder than the hallway. Wood-paneled walls, fluorescent lights, rows of uncomfortable benches. At the front, Judge Marilyn Ortega reviewed documents while adjusting reading glasses low across her nose. 20 years on the bench, former prosecutor, known for hating theatrics. Bad environment for Derek Whitmore. Tyler sat quietly beside Evelyn while Derek arranged papers aggressively across his table. Nicole remained stiff beside him. The hearing began exactly on time. "Temporary motions regarding marital asset control and emergency residential occupancy," Judge Ortega said without looking up. Routine voice. Unimpressed. Derek stood first. Confident, smooth. "Your Honor, my client has suffered years of financial concealment and emotional withdrawal from Mr. Coleman." Tyler watched calmly while Derek constructed the image. Invisible husband, secretive behavior, financial instability masking manipulation. Nicole kept her eyes lowered during most of it. Interesting. Because Tyler remembered exactly how she once admired his quiet nature. Now the same traits were being repackaged as emotional abuse. Perspective mattered more than truth in many courtrooms. Derek continued speaking. Mr. Coleman intentionally created dependency confusion while withholding material financial realities from the marriage. Judge Ortega looked toward Tyler's side finally. Response. Evelyn stood slowly, and the atmosphere shifted immediately. No performance, no dramatic pacing, just precision. "Your Honor," Evelyn began calmly. "Before addressing petitioner's claims, we request immediate disclosure regarding opposing counsel's conflicts of interest." Derek's expression hardened slightly. Judge Ortega looked up fully now. Explain. Evelyn handed documents toward the clerk. Mr. Whitmore engaged in a personal, intimate relationship with the petitioner, while simultaneously directing legal strategy tied to protected trust structures and restricted financial entities. Nicole closed her eyes briefly. Derek stood quickly. Objection. Personal matters are irrelevant. Evelyn cut him off cleanly. They become relevant when legal access attempts originate through your firm's secured network. Silence. The courtroom changed. Judge Ortega's eyes narrowed immediately. What access attempts? Evelyn handed forward another file. 3 failed penetrations into federally protected trust authentication systems associated with Coleman Vanguard Holdings. Derek spoke sharply now. This is intimidation theater. No, Evelyn said calmly. It's metadata. That word landed harder than accusations. Metadata didn't care about opinions. Judge Ortega reviewed several pages silently. Tyler watched Derek carefully, still composed outwardly, but sweat had appeared near his collar, small, visible only if someone looked closely. Tyler always looked closely. Judge Ortega finally spoke. Mr. Whitmore, are you currently or were you recently involved romantically with your client? Nicole's face drained again. Derek hesitated. 1 second too long. Yes. The judge removed her glasses, slowly. And you believed representing her in aggressive marital asset litigation while engaging in personal relations was appropriate. Derek straightened immediately. There's no statutory prohibition. There is when judgment becomes compromised. Sharp, direct, bad sign for him. Evelyn remained perfectly still beside Tyler. Judge Ortega flipped another page, then another, then stopped. What exactly is Coleman Vanguard Holdings? Derek's jaw tightened immediately. Tyler finally looked up. Evelyn answered smoothly, a multi-state logistics and strategic infrastructure corporation with active federal contract relationships. The courtroom became very quiet. Nicole looked at Tyler slowly, like she still expected someone to laugh and say it was exaggerated. Nobody did. Judge Ortega looked directly toward Tyler now for the first time. Mr. Coleman, are you currently an executive officer within this organization? Tyler answered simply. Yes. No embellishment, no explanation. That somehow made it heavier. Judge Ortega leaned back slightly. And opposing counsel attempted trust access related to protected holding structures connected to these entities, Evelyn answered. Yes, Your Honor. Derek spoke immediately. There is absolutely no proof I knowingly accessed restricted federal material. Evelyn slid another page forward. We have login routing timestamp verification and originating firm credentials. Derek's face changed slightly. Not panic yet, but calculation. Fast calculation. Judge Ortega looked openly irritated now. I'm not conducting federal compliance review inside family court, she said sharply. However, I am deeply concerned about conflict exposure and procedural integrity. She looked directly at Derek. You are hereby ordered to withdraw as acting counsel pending ethics review. Nicole inhaled sharply beside him. Derek stood frozen. Your Honor, immediately. Flat voice. No room for debate. Tyler watched something important happen in real time then. For the first time since this began, Derek Whitmore lost control of the room. The judge continued. Further, all temporary asset motions are suspended pending verified disclosure review and independent financial examination. Nicole looked stunned. Derek looked furious. Tyler remained still. Judge Ortega pointed toward the filings. And if federal crossover concerns prove credible, this court will cooperate fully with outside review. That sentence hit like concrete. Derek gathered papers too quickly. Anger replacing polish, mistake. Because angry men revealed themselves faster. The hearing ended 22 minutes later. As people began leaving the courtroom, Nicole finally looked directly at Tyler, really looked at him. No contempt left now, only realization. Tyler stood calmly beside Evelyn while court staff moved around them. Nicole opened her mouth slightly, probably to apologize, or explain, or ask questions. But Derek grabbed her arm first. "We're leaving." His voice sounded tighter now, more urgent. Nicole looked back at Tyler once while Derek pulled her toward the hallway. Tyler said nothing, because there was nothing left to prove inside that courtroom. The system had already started speaking for him, and outside beyond the courthouse steps, 3 black federal SUVs had just pulled quietly into the parking lot. The first subpoena landed at 6:14 a.m. By noon, there were 9 more. Derek Whitmore sat alone inside his downtown Denver office, staring at the growing stack of legal notices spread across his conference table like small controlled explosions. Federal compliance preservation orders, financial disclosure demands, emergency audit notifications. Every document carried the same cold professional tone. No threats, no emotion. That made them worse. Rain tapped steadily against the office windows overlooking 16th Street Mall, while Derek loosened his tie for the 3rd time in 20 minutes. Across the room, 2 junior associates pretended not to look terrified. One finally spoke carefully. "Sir, should we notify malpractice counsel?" Derek snapped the folder shut harder than necessary. "No." The associate immediately went quiet. Derek stood and walked toward the windows. Down below, commuters moved through wet sidewalks carrying coffee cups and umbrellas, while traffic crawled through slush-covered intersections. Normal life. Meanwhile, his own career was beginning to fracture quietly behind him. His phone buzzed again. Nicole. 3rd call in 40 minutes. Derek declined it immediately. He didn't have time for emotional conversations now. Not when the situation had escalated this fast. His office door opened. Harold Kane entered without knocking. 63 years old, founding partner, silver hair, old-school litigator, and currently furious. Harold closed the door behind him carefully, not loudly, which was somehow more dangerous. "What exactly did you get us involved in?" Harold asked. Derek turned immediately defensive. "This is being exaggerated." Harold threw another document onto the table. "Federal preservation requests are not exaggerations." Silence. Harold stared hard at him. "You told me this was a standard high-net-worth divorce." "It was." "No," Harold said sharply. "It clearly wasn't." Derek looked away briefly. That was enough answer. Harold exhaled slowly through his nose. "Coleman Vanguard." Derek stayed silent. Harold laughed once, disbelieving. "You picked a fight with Tyler Coleman?" The way he said the name made Derek's stomach tighten. Harold knew. Of course he knew. Men operating in Denver corporate litigation long enough eventually heard the stories. Quiet founder. Invisible ownership structures. Government contracts. Extreme discretion. People joked Tyler Coleman was the kind of billionaire who could sit beside you at a diner without being noticed. Harold stepped closer. "Do you understand how many firms avoid touching Vanguard-related litigation unless absolutely necessary?" Derek folded his arms tightly. He hid assets. Harold stared at him. "That's what you think this is about, to answer." Harold shook his head slowly. "You got greedy." The room went silent again. Derek hated that word, because part of him knew it was true. At first, Nicole Harper was simple. Attractive client, messy marriage, potentially large settlement. Then Derek realized Tyler wasn't what he appeared to be, and instead of pulling back, he pushed harder. He wanted access, visibility, opportunity. That was the mistake. Harold pointed toward the subpoenas. "They're auditing every financial interaction tied to this case now." Derek's jaw tightened. "They don't have anything criminal. You don't know that." The silence afterward was worse. Harold lowered his voice. Did you access protected trust structures through firm systems? Derek hesitated. Tiny pause. Fatal pause. Harold closed his eyes briefly. Oh my God, it wasn't criminal intent. Harold laughed again, this time without humor. Intent isn't determined by the person under investigation. Derek's phone buzzed again. This time he answered. What Nicole's voice came sharp and panicked immediately. Why are federal vehicles outside the house? Derek froze. What? There are 2 SUVs across the street and another near the corner. Derek moved away from Harold instinctively. Did anyone approach you? No? Then calm down. Don't tell me to calm down. Nicole's voice cracked slightly. Interesting. Derek hadn't heard real fear from her until now. She continued quickly. Someone froze one of my accounts this morning. Derek's pulse jumped. What account? The joint investment line? That made him close his eyes briefly. Tyler, of course. Not emotional retaliation, containment. Nicole lowered her voice suddenly. Derek, what exactly did you do? He answered too fast. Nothing illegal, wrong answer. Both of them knew it instantly. Nicole went silent, then finally asked the question Derek had avoided asking himself all morning. Who is Tyler, really? Derek stared out the rain-covered windows toward downtown traffic. He's a problem. Nicole hung up without another word. Derek lowered the phone slowly. Harold watched him carefully now. That woman is going to flip on you the second she feels exposed. Derek snapped back immediately. She doesn't know anything. Harold's expression stayed grim. She knows enough. The office phone rang moments later. Reception. Harold answered briefly, then looked toward Derek with visible irritation. There are federal investigators downstairs requesting document preservation access. Derek's stomach dropped hard. Already Harold spoke carefully. You are done handling this case. Derek turned sharply. You can't remove me, I absolutely can. Harold stepped closer. And unless you want the entire firm buried beside you, you'll cooperate fully. Derek looked towards the conference table, toward the subpoenas, toward the collapsing structure of his own certainty, then finally whispered something almost to himself. How the hell did this happen? Harold answered immediately. You underestimated a man because he didn't advertise power. Across town, Tyler Coleman sat inside a quiet conference room reviewing forensic accounting reports with Evelyn Brooks. Very different atmosphere. No panic, no shouting, only information. One analyst pointed toward the digital display. We tracked shell transfers connected to Whitmore Holdings, LLC. Tyler studied the screen calmly. Miami, Dallas, Aspen. Consulting transfers masking personal movement. Then another chart appeared. Blackridge Strategic Transit. Tyler's eyes narrowed slightly. There it was. Indirect financial overlap. Small, carefully hidden, but real. Evelyn folded her arms. He sold access. Tyler stayed silent. The analyst continued carefully. We can't prove corporate material changed hands yet, but intent exists, Evelyn said. Yes. Tyler leaned back slowly. He felt strangely empty, not victorious, not angry, just tired. 9 years of marriage ending beside spreadsheets and forensic timelines. He remembered Nicole laughing in their kitchen years earlier while dancing barefoot to old Bruce Springsteen songs during a power outage. That woman felt very far away now. Marcus entered quietly from the hallway. We've got another issue. Tyler looked up. Marcus handed him a tablet. News article draft, unreleased. Prepared by a local business reporter. Headline, Mystery executive linked to federal divorce investigation. Tyler sighed softly. There it was. Public attention. The one thing he spent years avoiding. Evelyn read over his shoulder. I can suppress this temporarily. Tyler thought for several seconds, then shook his head. No. Marcus frowned. You sure? Tyler looked toward the rainy skyline outside. You can't spend your life hiding from noise. Evelyn watched him carefully. Nicole won't survive public fallout well. Tyler answered quietly. She chose public people over private truth. The room fell silent. Then Marcus's phone buzzed sharply. He checked the message. Expression changed immediately. What Tyler asked. Marcus looked up slowly. Federal investigators just entered Whitmore and Kane. Tyler remained still. No smile. No satisfaction. Only inevitability. Because Derek Whitmore had made the same mistake arrogant men always made. He thought quiet people had nothing behind them until systems started moving. The black SUVs returned just after sunrise. Nicole Harper saw them through the upstairs bedroom window while brushing mascara onto shaking eyelashes. For 3 full seconds, she stood frozen beside the vanity table. 2 matte black federal vehicles, 1 Denver police unit behind them. Another dark SUV she immediately recognized. Marcus Reed. The same vehicle from the night Tyler was thrown out. Snow covered the edges of the driveway while pale morning light reflected off the wet pavement outside the Cherry Creek house. The neighborhood looked too quiet for what was happening. Nicole's pulse climbed hard enough to make her dizzy. Downstairs, someone knocked firmly against the front door. Not aggressive, professional. That somehow felt worse. Nicole grabbed her robe tighter and hurried downstairs barefoot. The knocking came again, measured, controlled. She opened the door. 3 people stood outside. 1 federal investigator in a dark overcoat, 1 Denver detective, and Marcus Reed beside them with both hands calmly folded in front of him. Nicole immediately looked at Marcus. He gave a short, respectful nod. No hostility, no sympathy either. The investigator spoke first. Miss Harper. Nicole swallowed hard. Yes. We have court-authorized preservation and collection orders involving electronic devices and network equipment connected to this property. Nicole stared blankly. What the detective handed her paperwork. Nicole scanned words without fully processing them. Digital preservation, protected access attempts, corporate infrastructure review. Nicole looked up sharply. This is my house. Marcus finally spoke. Legally, it belongs to the Coleman Trust. That sentence still hurt every time she heard it. The investigator continued calmly. We are not removing personal property unrelated to the inquiry. We only need electronic systems, storage devices, and access terminals. Nicole looked behind them instinctively. Neighbors were already watching. Of course they were. Curtains shifted up and down the street. A man walking his dog had slowed almost to a stop. Humiliation arrived quietly. Nicole stepped backward automatically. Come in. The investigators entered professionally. No raised voices, no dramatic searching, just procedures. 1 team member immediately photographed rooms while another logged device locations into a tablet. Nicole stood near the staircase feeling strangely invisible inside her own home. Marcus remained near the doorway, watching everything. Nicole finally looked directly at him. Did Tyler send you? Marcus answered honestly. Tyler requested you be treated respectfully. That somehow made her feel worse. Nicole folded her arms tightly. He could have stopped this. Marcus's expression didn't change. No, he said calmly. He could have hidden it. The truth in that answer landed heavily. Nicole looked away first. An investigator approached holding a small black network drive Tyler installed years earlier near the office wall. What's this connected to? Nicole shook her head immediately. I don't know. That answer embarrassed her more than she expected. 9 years married to Tyler Coleman, and she suddenly realized she barely understood anything he actually built. The investigator removed another secured terminal from the downstairs office. Nicole remembered mocking Tyler once for spending weekends playing tech support in that room. Now federal agents handled the same equipment like evidence. Marcus's phone buzzed softly. He checked the screen briefly. Nicole noticed immediately. What Marcus hesitated, then answered. Whitmore's office was formally raided 30 minutes ago. Nicole felt her stomach tighten. Raided. Not investigated. Raided. She sat slowly on the staircase. Everything around her suddenly felt unstable. The detective approached carefully. "Miss Harper, we may need your phone temporarily for imaging." Nicole looked up sharply. "My phone, only for preservation review." She handed it over with trembling fingers. The detective remained polite. Everyone remained polite. That was the terrifying part. Nobody treated this like emotional drama anymore. It had become procedural, systematic. Nicole stared blankly while investigators disconnected devices throughout the house. Then movement outside caught her eye. Across the street, standing beside a dark gray Silverado pickup parked beneath snow-covered trees. Tyler. Nicole stopped breathing for half a second. He wore the same old charcoal coat, hands inside his pockets, calm, still, watching quietly from across the street while federal teams moved through the house. Marcus noticed where she was looking. Tyler didn't wave, didn't approach, didn't posture. That restraint made him seem somehow larger than everyone else there. Nicole walked slowly towards the front doorway. Marcus didn't stop her. Cold air hit her face immediately. Tyler remained beside the truck. Snow drifted lightly between them. Nicole crossed the driveway halfway before stopping. For a moment, neither spoke. Finally, she asked softly, "Did you know it would get this bad?" Tyler looked toward the house before answering. "I knew Derek would keep pushing." Nicole shook her head. "You could have warned me." Tyler's expression stayed unreadable. "I tried." The sentence cut deeper than anger. Because Nicole remembered now. All the moments Tyler quietly pulled away from conversations involving Derek. All the times he asked subtle questions. All the silences she interpreted as weakness instead of caution. Nicole looked toward the investigators inside the house. "They think I helped him." Tyler answered carefully. "They think you ignored obvious things." That hurt because it was true. Nicole's voice lowered. "Did you ever stop loving me?" Tyler looked genuinely tired then. Not cold, not cruel. Just tired. "I think you stopped respecting me first." Nicole's eyes watered instantly. Tyler noticed but didn't move closer. Snow gathered lightly along his shoulders. "You used to look at me differently," Nicole whispered. Tyler nodded once. "So did you." Silence settled between them. A federal technician carried another sealed equipment case outside behind them. Marcus coordinated signatures near the driveway. Everything kept moving. Nicole suddenly realized something painful. Tyler never tried to destroy her publicly, even now. Even after betrayal, he only allowed consequences to reach the people creating them. Nicole looked at him carefully. "You still drive that truck?" Tyler glanced toward the Silverado briefly. "It works." A sad laugh escaped her before she could stop it. For years, she hated that answer. Now it sounded honest in a way most people around her never were. Marcus approached quietly from behind. "Tyler." Tyler turned slightly. Marcus lowered his voice. They found external duplication attempts inside the downstairs system. Tyler nodded once. Expected. Nicole stared between them. "What does that mean?" Tyler looked back toward her. "It means Derek crossed lines he didn't understand." Nicole's face tightened. "Is he going to prison?" Tyler didn't answer immediately, because unlike Derek, Tyler refused to speak dramatically about things still unfolding. Finally, he said quietly, "That depends on what investigators prove." Nicole closed her eyes briefly. Across the street, another neighbor pretended to shovel snow, while openly staring now. Nicole felt exposed in ways expensive clothing and social status could never protect against. Tyler stepped toward the truck. Nicole looked up quickly. Tyler. He paused. She struggled for words. For years, she always had the right one socially. Now, none came. Finally, she whispered, I really thought you were small. Tyler looked at her for several long seconds, then answered with the calm honesty that always used to frustrate her. No, he said quietly. You just needed louder people around you to feel important. Nicole lowered her eyes immediately, because there was nothing to defend anymore. Tyler opened the truck door. Marcus moved back toward the investigators. The operation continued behind them with quiet efficiency. Then Tyler stopped one last time before getting inside. Without turning around, he said, Leave the house tonight, Nicole. Her stomach tightened. Why, Tyler finally looked back at her. And for the first time since this began, she saw real concern in his eyes. Because Derek Whitmore is running out of places to hide. Then Tyler drove away slowly through the falling snow. While inside the Cherry Creek house, investigators opened a locked desk drawer containing documents nobody expected to find. Derek Whitmore stopped answering unknown numbers by Friday afternoon. Too many of them carried consequences. Compliance officers, investigators, bank representatives, 2 journalists, and 1 former client threatening malpractice litigation after seeing Whitmore and Kane mentioned online beside the words Federal Review. The polished confidence Derek built his career around was beginning to crack visibly. By 4:30 p.m., he sat alone inside a private booth at Del Frisco's downtown nursing untouched bourbon, while rain streaked the windows facing Larimer Street. His suit jacket hung beside him, tie loosened, phone constantly vibrating against the table. Nobody around him recognized the collapse happening in real time. That was the thing about professional ruin. It usually happened quietly at first. Derek checked another message. Account review notice. Temporary restrictions pending investigation. His jaw tightened hard enough to ache hard. Across the restaurant, 2 executives laughed over steaks and red wine, while a bartender polished glasses under warm amber lights. Normal Friday night. Meanwhile, Derek's world was narrowing by the hour. His phone rang again. Harold Kane. Derek almost ignored it. Almost. What Harold didn't bother with greetings. The partners voted. Derek leaned back slowly. What does that mean? It means your access is terminated, effective immediately. Silence. Harold continued coldly. You're removed from all active cases. Security credentials are disabled. You are no longer authorized to represent Whitmore and Kane publicly. Derek stared through the rain-covered windows. They're sacrificing me. No, Harold said sharply. You sacrificed yourself. The line went dead. Derek lowered the phone slowly. For the first time in years, he genuinely didn't know what to do next. That realization terrified him. Because men like Derek built their identities around control, and control was evaporating. A server approached carefully. You still working on that drink, sir? Derek looked up irritably. Another. The server nodded quickly and left. Derek rubbed both hands across his face. Then his phone buzzed again. Nicole. He answered immediately this time. What Nicole's voice sounded exhausted. Where are you busy? Federal investigators searched the house. I know. Silence. Then Nicole spoke carefully. They found documents in your desk. Derek froze. What documents, you tell me? The blood drained slowly from his face. The downstairs desk. He left files there after one of their late-night meetings. Temporary routing notes. Blackridge contact numbers. Nothing directly criminal unless someone connected context around them. Derek sat up straighter. Nicole, listen to me carefully. Did you read anything numbered good? The answer came too fast, too aggressive. Nicole noticed immediately. You're scared. Derek laughed once. Forced. Don't be dramatic. Tyler warned me to leave the house. That made Derek go quiet. Nicole continued softly. He said you were running out of places to hide. Derek stared at the bourbon glass arriving in front of him, untouched, amber liquid shaking slightly from the server setting it down. He's manipulating you. No, Nicole whispered. I think he's protecting me from something. That sentence irritated Derek instantly. Jesus Christ, Nicole! He spent years pretending to be some blue-collar nobody while hiding billions. Nicole answered immediately. And you spent months pretending you cared about me while using me. Silence. Heavy silence. Derek realized too late he no longer controlled her emotionally either. Nicole finally asked the question he had been avoiding himself. What exactly did you promise Blackridge? Derek's pulse spiked hard. There's no proof of anything. That's not what I asked. He stood abruptly from the booth. Stop talking about this over the phone. Then he hung up. Bad move. He knew it immediately afterward, because panic created patterns, and patterns created evidence. Derek grabbed his jacket and headed for the restaurant exit quickly. Outside rain soaked downtown Denver in cold, gray reflections. Traffic lights shimmered across wet pavement while pedestrians hurried beneath umbrellas. Derek scanned the street automatically. Paranoia now. Another bad sign. A black SUV sat parked half a block away. Could have been anyone. Still made his stomach tighten. He walked faster toward the parking garage. Meanwhile, 30 floors above downtown, Tyler Coleman stood quietly inside his office, watching snowfall begin again across the skyline. The room remained nearly silent except for the faint hum of ventilation systems and the occasional vibration of incoming reports on Evelyn's tablet. Marcus entered first. He's moving. Tyler looked up from the financial audit summaries. Whitmore Marcus nodded. Fast. Evelyn folded her arms beside the conference table. He knows investigators are closing in. Tyler studied the city lights below. Derek finally understood the structure collapsing around him. Good. Pressure revealed character faster than comfort. Marcus handed over surveillance updates. Whitmore withdrew cash from 2 separate accounts today. Amount under reporting thresholds. Tyler nodded once. Smart enough to know procedure, not smart enough to avoid creating a trail. Evelyn glanced through another report. We also confirmed Blackridge legal counsel abruptly suspended outside communications. Tyler almost smiled. Predators abandoned liabilities quickly. Blackridge would cut Derek loose now that exposure existed, meaning Derek had become dangerous. Men abandoned by powerful allies usually did reckless things next. Marcus spoke carefully. We should increase Nicole's protection. Tyler stayed silent several seconds, then nodded once, discreetly. Evelyn watched him closely again. She betrayed you, Tyler answered calmly. Yes. And you still won't let her drown with him? Tyler looked down briefly at the city traffic. Years ago, Nicole used to wait awake for him during late nights. She brought him coffee while he worked through logistics reports at their tiny apartment kitchen table. That woman existed once. People changed slowly. That didn't erase everything before it. Marcus's phone buzzed sharply. He checked the screen immediately, then looked up. We lost visual on Whitmore for 12 minutes. Tyler's eyes narrowed slightly. 12. Marcus nodded. He switched parking structures near Union Station. Intentional. Tyler understood immediately. Derek was trying to disappear temporarily. Another mistake. Because innocent people usually didn't run patterns. Evelyn stepped towards the screen displaying financial movement logs. He's bleeding money. Tyler glanced over. Emergency withdrawals. Frozen lines. Suspended discretionary accounts. Derek Whitmore built his life around appearance, too. And appearances became expensive once institutions stopped cooperating. Tyler walked toward the windows slowly. You know the difference between men like Derek and men like my father, he asked quietly. Marcus stayed silent. Tyler answered anyway. My father understood money is only useful if systems still trust you. Outside snow thickened across downtown streets. The city looked cleaner under snowfall. Quieter. Tyler's encrypted phone vibrated once. Unknown number again. He opened the message. We found the storage unit. Attached image. Derek Whitmore entering a private storage facility outside Aurora 3 nights earlier. Tyler's expression hardened slightly. Marcus noticed immediately. What Tyler handed him the phone. Marcus read silently, then looked up. That's not good, no, because men preparing escape routes usually carried things worth hiding. And somewhere across Denver, Derek Whitmore was driving through freezing rain, believing he still had time to outrun consequences. What he didn't realize yet was that Tyler Coleman had already stopped thinking about him emotionally. Now Tyler was thinking strategically. And strategic men were far more dangerous. Nicole Harper arrived at Tyler Coleman's office just after 8:00 a.m. on Monday, and immediately realized she had misunderstood him for years. The building sat on a quiet side street near Reno, far from downtown skyscrapers and luxury towers. No giant company logo stretched across the entrance, no valet parking, no marble waterfall lobby designed to impress investors. From outside, the place looked almost forgettable. A converted industrial brick building with black steel windows and discreet security cameras tucked beneath the roofline. Tyler would choose a place like this. Invisible unless you knew what mattered. Nicole sat inside her Mercedes for nearly 2 minutes before stepping out. Cold wind swept through the street carrying the smell of snow and coffee from a nearby cafe. A black SUV remained parked across from the building. Marcus Reed noticed her immediately when she entered the lobby. He stood from a leather chair near the reception area. Still calm, still unreadable. Nicole suddenly remembered how many times she had mistaken quiet men for harmless men. Marcus approached politely. He's expecting you. Nicole frowned slightly. He knew I was coming. Marcus almost smiled. Tyler usually knows before people decide themselves. That answer unsettled her more than she expected. Marcus escorted her upstairs. No flashy executive suite waited at the top floor. Instead, Tyler's office looked surprisingly simple. Dark wood shelves, large windows overlooking snow-covered rooftops. 2 framed black and white photographs of freight yards from the early 2000s. A coffee mug beside neatly organized files. No expensive artwork. No visible ego. Tyler stood near the windows wearing dark jeans and a gray sweater reviewing something on a tablet. He looked up calmly when Nicole entered. No surprise. No anger. Just acknowledgement. Marcus closed the door quietly behind her. For a moment, silence settled heavily across the room. Nicole suddenly felt nervous in a way she hadn't during any court hearing or luxury negotiation in years. Tyler set the tablet down. You drove yourself. Nicole blinked once. That's your first question. It matters. She folded her arms automatically. I'm fine. Tyler nodded slightly. You shouldn't stay at the Cherry Creek house anymore. Nicole looked away briefly. I already left. Good. Tyler visibly relaxed a fraction. Interesting. Nicole noticed that. Even now, after everything, he still cared whether she was safe. That realization hurt more than insults would have. She looked around the office slowly. This is where you work sometimes. No private tower downtown. Tyler almost smiled. Those buildings are mostly for people who need witnesses. Nicole lowered her eyes briefly. Because years ago, that line would have sounded ridiculous to her. Now it sounded true. Tyler gestured toward the chair across from his desk. Nicole sat carefully. For several seconds, neither spoke. Then Nicole finally asked the question haunting her for days. Who are you really? Tyler leaned back slightly. The same person I was before you started measuring people differently. The answer landed quietly, cleanly. Nicole swallowed hard. I didn't realize you did. Tyler's voice stayed calm. You just convinced yourself visible simplicity meant failure. Nicole stared at him. No cruelty in his tone. That somehow made it worse. Tyler continued softly. You stopped introducing me as your husband after certain parties. Nicole closed her eyes briefly. God. He noticed that. Of course he did. Tyler remembered everything. Not loudly, quietly. Accumulated. Nicole rubbed her hands together nervously. I made mistakes. Tyler nodded once. Yes, no dramatic speech. No rage, just truth. Nicole looked toward the windows. Snow drifted slowly past the glass outside. I thought Derek understood ambition, she admitted quietly. Tyler's expression barely changed. Derek understands leverage. Silence again. Nicole finally looked directly at him. They're saying he could face criminal charges. Tyler answered carefully. Investigators are still sorting intent. You know more than that. Yes. Nicole's voice tightened. Are you helping them? Tyler paused briefly, then answered honestly. I'm not stopping them. That distinction mattered. Nicole realized it immediately. Tyler wasn't orchestrating revenge emotionally. He simply refused to protect Derek from consequences anymore. Nicole looked down at her hands. You know the worst part? Tyler stayed silent. I really believed you needed me more than I needed you. Tyler watched her carefully for several seconds, then finally spoke the sentence that hurt most. No, he said quietly. You needed someone you thought stood below you. Nicole's eyes watered instantly, because it was true. Not consciously, not at first. But somewhere along the way, Tyler's humility became something she exploited emotionally instead of admired. Nicole laughed weakly through tears. You know what's horrible? Tyler waited. I used to think your truck embarrassed me. Tyler almost smiled again. It's still running. That broke something inside her unexpectedly. Not because of the truck, because Tyler never changed. She did. Nicole wiped at her eyes quickly. I don't expect forgiveness. Tyler nodded once. Good. Direct. Not cruel. Just final. Nicole looked around the office again. No luxury distractions. No giant displays of power. And yet every person in Denver corporate law now moved carefully around Tyler Coleman's name. Real power. Quiet power. She finally whispered, Why didn't you ever tell me? Tyler looked toward the old freight yard photograph on the wall. My father spent his life surrounded by people who only respected money they could see. Nicole listened silently. When he died, half those people disappeared within 6 months. Tyler folded his hands slowly. I decided a long time ago I'd rather know who stayed when there was nothing impressive to look at. Nicole lowered her head, because she had failed that test completely. A soft knock interrupted the silence. Marcus stepped inside. Sorry. Tyler looked up. What Marcus handed over a folder. Federal investigators recovered financial records from Whitmore's storage unit. Tyler opened the file calmly. Nicole watched his face carefully. Still controlled. Still unreadable. Then Tyler closed the folder slowly. What is it? Nicole asked quietly. Tyler looked at her for several long seconds before answering. He was preparing exit routes. Nicole's stomach tightened. What does that mean? Marcus answered this time. Cash reserves, international contact numbers, asset movement plans. Nicole stared blankly. Derek had been preparing to run. Not protect her, not fight for her, run. Tyler stood slowly from behind the desk, and for the first time since she entered, Nicole saw genuine anger move behind his eyes. Small, controlled, but real. Not because of money. Not because of betrayal. Because Derek Whitmore had turned dangerous. Tyler looked toward Marcus. Where is he now? Marcus answered immediately. We lost confirmed location 40 minutes ago. The room changed instantly. Pressure, focus, movement. Tyler grabbed his coat calmly. Nicole stood too. What's happening? Tyler looked toward her, and the concern in his eyes returned immediately. Nicole, he said quietly, if Derek contacts you directly, you call Marcus first. Fear tightened inside her chest. You think he'd hurt me? Tyler didn't answer immediately, which was answer enough. Then his phone vibrated. Marcus looked at the screen first. Expression hardened instantly. What Tyler asked. Marcus looked up slowly. We found Whitmore's car. Silence. Where Tyler asked. Marcus's voice lowered. Outside Black Ridge Strategic Transit Headquarters. The Denver Tech Center ballroom filled before sunrise. Black SUVs lined the private underground entrance while local news crews waited behind velvet barriers outside the glass front convention building. Snow drifted lightly across the city, softening the early morning traffic into long, white streaks beneath streetlights. Inside, executives moved quietly between security checkpoints and coffee stations. Nobody spoke loudly. Not today. The invitation-only Emergency Infrastructure Summit had originally been planned months earlier by Coleman Vanguard Holdings. Federal transportation officials, logistics contractors, cybersecurity consultants, and defense infrastructure partners from 6 states were attending. But now the event carried a second layer. Everyone knew it. Nobody said it directly. Nicole Harper stood near the back entrance wearing a dark wool coat and sunglasses she no longer needed indoors. She had almost not come. Then she saw the name outside the ballroom. Coleman Vanguard Holdings, founder and executive chairman Tyler Coleman. The sight still felt unreal. For years she introduced Tyler as a quiet maintenance tech who hated networking events. Now armed security teams checked credentials beneath his company's name, while senators and executives arrived through private entrances. Nicole suddenly understood something painful. Tyler never hid because he lacked status. He hid because he understood what status did to people. A movement near the entrance shifted attention across the room. Tyler arrived without fanfare. No oversized security circle. No dramatic entrance music. Just Tyler walking calmly beside Marcus Reed and Evelyn Brooks, while conversations lowered instinctively around him. Dark charcoal suit, no flashy watch, no performative smile. Still Tyler. That somehow made everything heavier. Nicole watched executives approach him immediately, handshake after handshake, respect without exaggeration. One transportation commissioner shook Tyler's hand with both of his. Good to finally see you publicly, Tyler. Tyler answered simply. Temporary necessity. People laughed softly, but Nicole noticed something underneath the reaction. Nobody there treated Tyler like a mysterious celebrity. They treated him like a man whose absence from public attention had always been intentional. A very different kind of power. Marcus scanned the room carefully, while Tyler moved toward the main stage area. Nicole almost left then. She felt out of place now, exposed. But before she could move, Evelyn Brooks approached her calmly. You came. Nicole looked uncomfortable immediately. I shouldn't have. Evelyn's expression stayed neutral. That's not my decision. Nicole glanced toward Tyler across the ballroom. Does he know I'm here? Evelyn almost smiled. Tyler usually notices everything. Of course he did. Nicole looked around the ballroom again. Business leaders, government officials, security personnel. And everywhere she looked, people respected Tyler quietly, instead of performing admiration loudly. That difference haunted her now. Meanwhile, 3 blocks away, federal agents exited Black Ridge Strategic Transit Headquarters carrying sealed evidence cases through freezing wind. Derek Whitmore sat handcuffed inside an unmarked vehicle, staring blankly through tinted windows while investigators reviewed confiscated devices beside him. No dramatic arrest, no flashing media circus, just systems closing. Exactly the way Tyler preferred. Back inside the convention ballroom, the event coordinator stepped onto the stage. Conversations lowered immediately. Ladies and gentlemen, she announced, please welcome the founder and executive chairman of Coleman Vanguard Holdings, Mr. Tyler Coleman. Applause spread steadily through the room, not explosive, respectful. Tyler stepped onto the stage calmly. Nicole felt her chest tighten unexpectedly, because she suddenly remembered every time she rolled her eyes when Tyler avoided social attention, every time she mocked his truck, every time she mistook restraint for insecurity. Now hundreds of powerful people sat silently waiting for him to speak. Tyler adjusted the microphone slightly, then looked across the ballroom. His eyes briefly found Nicole near the back. No anger there, no satisfaction, just acknowledgement. Then he began speaking. When people hear words like infrastructure, logistics, or security, Tyler said calmly, they usually picture systems. His voice carried quietly across the room. But systems are really just people deciding whether they can trust each other under pressure. Complete silence now. No phones moving, no whispered side conversations. Tyler continued, my father taught me something years ago. Loud people often mistake visibility for strength. Nicole lowered her eyes briefly. Tyler's voice remained steady. But real stability usually comes from people nobody notices. The driver moving freight through snow at 3 a.m., the technician repairing failed systems before sunrise, the veterans rebuilding lives quietly after service. Several people nodded slowly. Tyler never raised his voice, never performed charisma. That made every sentence feel heavier. He continued, we built Coleman Vanguard around one belief. Quiet reliability matters more than appearance. Nicole felt tears sting unexpectedly, because for years she had measured Tyler by appearance, not reliability, not loyalty, appearance. Tyler paused briefly before continuing. And lately recent events reminded me how dangerous it becomes when people underestimate quiet things. A subtle shift moved through the room. Everyone understood the reference. Tyler never mentioned Derek, never mentioned Nicole, never defended himself publicly. He simply continued speaking about discipline, infrastructure, integrity, and responsibility under pressure. That restraint made the message stronger. Nicole suddenly realized something important. Tyler didn't need revenge publicly, because public revenge still required emotional validation. Tyler no longer needed anything from the people who underestimated him. Near the side entrance, Marcus received a message through his earpiece. His expression hardened slightly. Evelyn noticed immediately. What Marcus answered quietly. Whitmore's cooperating. Evelyn folded her arms. Already Marcus nodded once. He's naming Blackridge contacts. Interesting. Very interesting. On stage, Tyler finished his remarks. Then something unexpected happened. He stepped away from prepared talking points entirely. For a long time, Tyler said quietly, I believed privacy protected peace. The room stayed completely silent. But privacy also hides problems when people stop speaking honestly. Nicole looked up sharply. Tyler's eyes moved briefly toward her again. Sometimes he continued, the people closest to you stop seeing who you are because they become distracted by what the world rewards visibly. The sentence landed softly, but Nicole felt it like impact. Tyler adjusted the microphone once more, so if there's anything worth remembering from recent events... He paused briefly. It's this. Complete silence. Never assume calm people are powerless. No dramatic ending. No applause cue. Just truth. Then Tyler stepped away from the podium, and the ballroom rose to its feet anyway. Nicole remained frozen near the back, while applause filled the room around her. Not because Tyler embarrassed her, because he didn't. Even now. Even after everything. He still refused to humiliate her publicly. That grace hurt more than anger ever could. Marcus approached Tyler near the stage while executives gathered around. Quiet conversation. Then Tyler's expression shifted slightly, focused again. Nicole knew that look now. Something changed. Marcus spoke softly. Federal counsel confirmed it. Tyler nodded once. And Whitmore Marcus answered carefully. He gave them everything. 3 months later, Tyler Coleman woke before sunrise in Boulder. No alarms, no security briefings, no emergency legal calls vibrating across encrypted phones. Just silence. Real silence. The kind he hadn't heard in years. Soft blue morning light stretched across the windows of the small mountainside house he rented above North Boulder. Snow rested quietly across pine trees outside, while distant wind moved through the foothills in long, steady breaths. Tyler stood in the kitchen wearing gray thermals and wool socks, pouring black coffee into an old ceramic mug chipped near the handle. Same mug from years ago. Nicole used to hate it. Why keep broken things, she once asked. Tyler remembered that now, with faint amusement. Because some things still worked fine, despite imperfections. His phone rested untouched on the counter. For the first time in over a decade, there were no overnight crisis reports waiting for him. The divorce finalized 12 days earlier. Clean, quiet, efficient. Nicole signed without contest after federal investigators officially cleared her of intentional corporate involvement. Derek Whitmore's cooperation agreement had protected him from prison entirely, but his law license was suspended indefinitely, pending ethics violations and federal review. Blackridge Strategic Transit lost 2 major infrastructure contracts within weeks. Several executives resigned quietly afterward. Systems moved. Consequences followed. Tyler took his coffee outside onto the narrow back deck. Cold mountain air hit immediately. Sharp, clean. Below Boulder still slept beneath pale morning snow. He breathed slowly. For years, Tyler believed peace came from hiding completely. Now he understood something different. Peace came from no longer needing to prove anything. A truck engine sounded below. Tyler glanced down toward the driveway automatically. Marcus Reed stepped out carrying a cardboard drink tray and a paper bag from a local diner. Tyler shook his head slightly. "You know I have food here." Marcus walked up the steps calmly. "You also ignore breakfast regularly." "Fair point." Marcus handed over the bag. "Breakfast burritos, coffee." Tyler stepped aside to let him inside. The house looked exactly like Tyler preferred now. Minimal, quiet. No decorative luxury pretending to impress strangers. Marcus sat near the kitchen counter while Tyler unwrapped the burrito carefully. For several minutes, neither spoke. Comfortable silence. Finally, Marcus asked, "You sleeping better?" Tyler nodded once, mostly. Marcus studied him briefly. "You miss her interesting question." Tyler took another sip of coffee before answering honestly. "I miss who I thought she was sometimes." Marcus nodded slowly. That answer made sense. Nicole had not become cruel overnight. That was the tragedy. People rarely transformed suddenly. Usually they drifted, one compromise at a time, one shallow priority at a time. Until eventually they no longer recognized themselves. Marcus checked a message on his phone. Nicole officially listed her Denver property this morning. Tyler remained still. No reaction visible. She leaving Colorado, probably. Tyler nodded once. Part of him felt relieved hearing that. Not because he hated her, because distance would help both of them survive what remained publicly. Marcus leaned back slightly. "You know she still defends you anytime reporters call." Tyler almost smiled. "Reporters still calling less now." "Good." Tyler hated publicity, always had. Marcus studied him another moment. "You could have destroyed her publicly." Tyler looked out toward the mountains. "Yes, but you didn't." Tyler answered quietly. "She destroyed enough herself." Silence settled again. Snow drifted softly outside the windows. Later that morning, Tyler drove the old Silverado into town. Same truck, same faded charcoal coat, same quiet habits. Nothing about him visually matched the stories now circulating online. That amused him more than it bothered him. He parked outside a small coffee shop near Pearl Street Mall and stepped inside. Warm air, roasted espresso, low acoustic music. A college student behind the counter looked up immediately, then froze slightly. Recognition. Tyler saw it happen often now, not from business magazines, from recent headlines. The student hesitated awkwardly. "You're Tyler Coleman, right?" Tyler nodded once. The young man looked genuinely nervous suddenly. Thank you for what you said at the summit." Tyler glanced up slightly. "What part?" The student shrugged awkwardly. "The thing about quiet people." Tyler looked at him for several long seconds, then simply said, "Most important work usually happens quietly." The student smiled uncertainly. Tyler took his coffee and sat near the window. Outside, Boulder moved slowly through another winter morning. People walking dogs, students riding bikes through snow, construction crews repairing sidewalks. Normal life. Tyler watched everything quietly. No anger left, no need for revenge, only clarity. His phone buzzed once. Nicole. He stared at the screen several seconds before answering. "Hello?" Silence first. Then her voice, soft. "Different now. I just wanted to say goodbye." Tyler leaned back slightly in the chair. "You leaving?" "Yes. We're Seattle, probably." Tyler nodded faintly to himself. "Rainy city. Fresh start. Makes sense." Nicole exhaled softly through the phone. "I know I don't deserve kindness from you." Tyler stayed quiet. "But thank you anyway." Outside the coffee shop window, snow drifted slowly past pedestrians crossing Pearl Street. Tyler finally answered, "Take care of yourself, Nicole." A long pause followed. Then she whispered something that sounded painfully honest. "You were never small, Tyler. I just needed you to be." The line disconnected. Tyler lowered the phone slowly. No dramatic emotion followed, no breakdown, just acceptance. Some truths arrived too late to repair anything, but they still mattered. Tyler finished his coffee quietly, while morning sunlight finally broke through clouds over the mountains outside. For the first time in years, nobody expected him to prove his worth. And for the first time in years, he no longer cared who underestimated him. Because the people who truly understood power had known the truth from the beginning. The loudest men in the room usually carried the weakest foundations. The dangerous ones rarely needed to announce themselves at all. After everything that happened to Tyler Coleman, one truth remained simple. People often confuse silence with weakness because real strength rarely performs for attention. Tyler never won by yelling louder, showing off wealth, or humiliating the people who hurt him. He won because he stayed calm long enough to let truth expose everyone naturally. In real life, many people know what it feels like to be underestimated, sometimes by partners, sometimes by co-workers, sometimes even by family. And often the people who look ordinary on the outside are carrying responsibilities, discipline, and quiet resilience nobody else sees. Respect should never depend on appearances. If you've ever been judged too quickly or betrayed by someone who underestimated you, share your story in the comments. And before you go comment your country and local time, it's always amazing seeing where everyone is watching from. Subscribe to the channel if you enjoy stories about quiet power betrayal and calculated comebacks. Tomorrow's story follows another man everyone dismissed, right before he quietly took everything back.